This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Don't be afraid to take the baby steps. It's another day, don't forget, cause just a prayer away. Don't give up now, trust the process and keep learning. And if you need a friend, we're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, together, together. We're in this together, 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 together as a family in faith and melody.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. I am Henry here in Germany, and this is INCRadio's Faith and Melody, where we have meaningful conversations and inspiring Iglesia ni Cristo original music. And joining me today,
Hello, everyone. I'm Belle here in the United Kingdom, and in today's episode of Faith and Melody, we're diving into character and attitude, how we respond under pressure, how we treat others, and how our faith shapes the kind of person that we're becoming. We're looking forward to having you in our conversation for today, so let's get the show started with the first song on our playlist, which is Brave.
I'm only good at a few things, a failure in many ways. Looking in the mirror, realize I need to make a change. People talk about me, they might even look at me strange, but I'm determined to make it. I pray the Lord will make me brave. Humble by His mercy, what in me is worthy to save? He rescues me from danger, holds my hand so I don't go astray. Need to live my life right, never put a minute to waste, and I won't step down. I will take my duty to my grave.
Like a loser, I know I'm a sinner. Turn my life around so I can be a winner. I am convinced there's no fight that I can't win. I will emerge victorious. You make me a champion. Now I'm brave. No more being afraid. I won't be left behind. I can go on.
Straight toward my goal, racing to the finish line. I know what awaits me there, salvation and eternal life. I can't lose my way now, pay attention to the signs. The world is getting darker, all the more I gotta shine. Holding tightly to my faith, enemies try to ruin mine. I can only pray they will find the way to the truth in time. We will succeed with the help of God, who is true and kind. My sword and my shield and my life are His words divine.
Turn my life around so I can be a winner. I am so far but I can will emerge victorious. You make me a champion. Now I'm brave. No more being afraid.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is INCRadio Faith and Melody, where it is currently 12:06 a.m. there in the main studio in the Philippines. And later on the show, we'll explore how attitude and character shape our lives daily, as well as our relationships and faith. That and more on today's topic, the real you. And joining us here today is not only myself and Henry, we also have here, if she would like to introduce herself, all the way from Germany.
Hi everyone, I am Chanel, happily joining in all the way from Frankfurt, Germany, district of Central Europe. Hi Belle, hi Henry.
Hi, Chanel. Thank you so much for joining us today. But we also have a fourth contestant today. um, are you there?
Why is it fourth contested? Now it reminds me of shows like, properly, like the game shows. Joining in from downstairs, hi Arabelle, hi Henry, hi Chanel, and everyone tuning in to Eins Radio Faith and Melody. I'm present, Erica.
Thank you so much for joining today as well. But yes, since we're all here today, before we dive into our discussion today, let's begin with our kickoff chat.
Kickoff chat.
Okay, since today's topic is about the real like about character and attitude, there's one question that we have for you. Are you more of a glass half full person or who drank my water
Who
type
drank
of
my
person?
water? I'm the one like that because I have four siblings, and it's either who ate this, and I was like, Arabelle can be a witness of that.
Well, since Erica already gave her answer, let's see with Chanel. What would you categorize yourself into between these two options?
I, I like the option who drank my water. I think for me it works in the way that like I'm forgetful. And the other one, like I guess I'm kind of anxious, so we're always like suspicious of everything. Like, hey, how did this get here? Why is that there? And again, it plays into I'm forgetful, so that's probably why I'm anxious. But yeah, my who drank my water? That's what team I'm on.
Thank you so much for that, Chanel. That's quite an interesting perspective as well. Like my sister here said that she's also a who drank my water type of person because it's true though. Like, when you have a lot of siblings, like we're used to sharing like food and like drinks as well, such as water or like matcha. Dan really loves drinking from my matcha, so um I should say who drank my water as well. But on a deeper level though, like I get the glass half full type of like mentality, yeah. But in real talk, yeah, when you have a lot of siblings, I feel like who drank my water would be my first response to that. But let's see, Henry, what about you?
So I'm the parent in this little group that we have here. And as the parent, knowing that there's a lot of babies and toddlers running around and grabbing each other's cups, you kind of get used to it. And so therefore I'm the third option. It's like, they must be thirsty. Because I mean that toddler they don't know which cup they're grabbing. They're just thirsty. And so you start to just kind of go with the flow and you're not gonna say, hey, that's not your water, 2 year old child. You're gonna just let them go ahead and drink the water. So third option is, you must be thirsty. I'll go get another water. So, which I think it's one of those things that as we talk in our conversation today, in our discussion, we're gonna start to figure out that certain people at different ages, at different stages, will have different types of shapes of their behavior, shapes of their character. But you can't really blame the 2 year old and say, "Hey, you drank my water." So it's one of those. It is what it is. You can say glass half full, glass half empty. You can point the finger to it, give me back my water, or you can be like, okay, let me go get another cup. So that's my answer, Belle.
Oh, that's such a nice answer. Like, you know how they say, um, the the third. I don't know what to say it. Sorry. I know how to say it in Italian. Uh, can you please help me out? Never
So
mind. Do you
yeah,
know it? Do you
it's
know what I'm
I
talking
mean
about?
it's the outside perspective. It's the different because a lot of times we're presented with two options, and we think that we're stuck to those two options. It's not always the case, and that's what I think our faith kind of tells us to do is to, hey, are these only your options? Is there another way to look at something? And I think in this conversation we're gonna learn that empathy can be that third option. That's my take, Bell.
Thank you for that, Henry. It is really like a refreshing opinion as well, since like there are two options. But yes, here also in our team live chat, we have a few people joining us today. So we have Joshua Arteta saying gandang madaaling araw. Pabati ang amin tagapangasiwa, kapatid na Ricky, uh, at sa kanyang sambahayan. And he also requested a song number 45. And we also have here um, Mario Oka saying good midnight here in the Philippines and enjoy watching here on INCRadio Faith and Melody. We also have sorry. We also have Jared Rombo saying hi everyone. Happy watching, Faith and Melody. Warm greetings from the Ecclesiastical District of Northern Africa, local of Awasi extension. And also, we also have here Paul Arisa saying greetings and happy Monday to all brethren. And we also have Joel Soriano saying, hi everyone, happy viewing from the local of Collingwood, district of Edmonton, Canada. And to join us today in our kick-off chat, we have Jared Brombo saying, who drank my water bowl? So as of now, a lot of us are leaning more towards the who drank my water. But yes, thank you so much, everyone who is joining us today. And I hope that you're able to join us as well, most especially during our topic discussion for today. But yes, with that said, we will now wrap our kickoff chat segment. And thank you, everyone, for participating. That's been today's kickoff chat.
Kickoff chat.
So the next two songs that we'll be listening to before we begin our discussion is first the song "It's Gonna Be Fine," followed by "The Journey." So stay tuned with us as we begin our discussion here on Faith and Melody.
I'm gonna go where God leads me. When the world makes me weep inside, there's a place I can call my home. The weight on my shoulders makes me afraid, but I know what I'm fighting for. With God I'll march and conquer. And I can't stop feeling, won't stop breathing. I wait with anticipation. Yeah, I won't stop holding until my fears end. Let God's light lead me. Ooh. It ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although life ain't easy. I'll march with honor. The day is near. I'll receive eternal life. There's a place I can call my own. Close to salvation, always prepared. When the Father sends His Son, I'll leave this world to meet Him. And I can't stop feeling, won't stop breathing. I wait with anticipation. Yeah, I won't stop holding until my fears and let God's light lead me. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although life ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although life ain't easy. I'm gonna go where God leads me. When the world makes me weep inside, there's a place I can come. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although life ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although it ain't easy. It's gonna be fine, although life ain't easy.
Tomorrow is filled with uncertainty, and yesterday can never be changed. But though life seems rough and dull, with faith I have in Him, I know I can survive. Life's journey sometimes need not be so smooth. There are times you feel astray, but lift up all your fears. To our Almighty God, and He Tomorrow, Jesus Christ will still be there. Save us all and bring in God's loving arms. Save us all and bring in God's loving
The real you. So, you know, before we can improve on our character, we really need to understand that, um, like what it is, what truly it is, and how it shows up, in our everyday lives, and how we can progress for that, as well as learning how to um, control as well. So, in your own words, how would you define character and how would you define attitude? So let's start off with Chanel.
For me, defining character and attitude is just how you carry yourself in every situation. That is character. Attitude is, I guess, I haven't really thought too deeply about it, but at first thought, I would say attitude is just your first instinct, and then character is what you choose to act upon. Does that make sense, Belle?
Oh, can you just repeat that, Chanel? I was overthinking about it.
Yeah, okay, we're on the same page then, right, Erica?
Because for me, I mean, I think we're on the same page, Chanel. Because me, in simple words, is character is who you are, right? But then attitude is how you act in certain situations. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think we both have kind of flipped it. But it's okay. We're gonna talk more.
Can you please repeat, Chanel? Because I think I'm overthinking about it.
No, me too. Belle, Henry, I'm so sorry. You put me and Erica on the show together, and we're just gonna keep talking and also confusing each other.
In my opinion, I feel like character are like entails like the values that you have, like your character, and like the principles that you believe in as well. And with what Eric has mentioned as well, attitude is something that you give someone. You give attitude, so that's what you show to them, like in a certain situation. At least that's my opinion on the matter. But what about Henry? Do you have anything to add?
Okay, let me bring balance to this equation with three estrogen beings here, and just
Yeah.
blame Henry.
Thank you, Kuya.
Okay, so character. If I were to go and say, Chanel, you have an amazing character to yourself. Everywhere you go, people can see who you really are, right? The moment when that's used to you, you already know what I'm speaking about. It's your inner self. It's who you are as a person. That's the character that is comprised of your years of experience of living, your experiences of good and bad circumstances, shape you to who you are and who you become. When I say, "Oh, Belle, what kind of attitude is that? Don't express to me that kind of attitude." Or, "Hey, that's great attitude that you have. In despite we're down by 10 points, you still have great attitude." Attitude is very in that moment of time. It's very instantaneous. It's the attitude of your outward expression of who you are in that given moment. So just because someone has a bad attitude doesn't mean they have bad character. Sometimes it can just be a bad day, right? That attitude
Exactly. I
is
totally agree.
there we go.
The show.
And that's why I think it's important that we kind of define as a platform for the rest of our conversation what character and attitude is. So we can all agree that we all hope that we have a great character of what we've experienced, and even being here on the show is that there's a certain characteristics to have to be of a character to speak in a certain way. But we all have our good and bad days. So sometimes we have a different attitude on a different day because of, let's say, you were late to your classes, Bell, and then when you got to the show, and it kind of spilled over into your day for the show. Or for Chanel, she had an amazing day. She had, a husband Mark cooked her the greatest meal ever, and therefore her attitude for the show is like, you know, good, great, all good things. And so, yeah, character is who we are on the inside based on what we've experienced in life, and really who we hope we are sometimes. And attitude is really just the outward expression of ourselves at that moment in time. That's how I would define it, Bell.
I think we can all agree with what's been mentioned, Henry, because like at the end of the day, it's true. There are dynamics to our days and our weeks. Not everything is like sunshine and butterflies. And sometimes even the soft spoken people can be like frustrated as well. So it is human to feel frustrated in those moments, and it is human to feel sad in those moments as well. So I believe that it's true. um Character is more about who you are as a person. That's why there are characteristics as well. So I believe that's uh quite correct. And our values really play into that as well. And when it comes to handling a situation, that's like a different ordeal, right? There are different situations in life, and it could be a small thing or a big thing as well, with the various examples that have been mentioned so far, Henry. So thank you for that. But with that said, um, since we did talk about how attitude is about handling a situation or how you react to certain situations. Like, why do you think attitude can change so quickly depending on situations? Chanel.
Attitude can change so quickly, and again, I'm so grateful for Henry's explanation earlier because that really helped us and our listeners and viewers have a basis on what the definition is. And I think attitude can change so quickly because again, it is like your first response, your initial response. And usually when you react without thinking, sometimes the best action or the best impression you might give to others um, doesn't come out right, doesn't come out the way that you wanted to. There's a phrase, there's a saying that we say, like, why are you giving attitude to that person? And giving attitude is used in a negative connotation. There you go. So really, again, it's something that just happens. You can't choose to give attitude all the time, but again, it's an initial response. It's a reaction.
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely agree, Chanel, and also because Henry is here, let's give him a shout out because not only he's the only guy here, our big brother, but also he's a parent. So I believe he's learned a lot through his kids as well. When like as young ones, Chanel, we did give attitude sometimes. I don't think that Henry did when he was younger too.
I don't know what you're talking about, sister. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. So I have a growing, soon-to-be teenager. She celebrated her 12th birthday yesterday. Excuse me. And so there, I'm prepared for the attitude that is about to hit me hard. So, and that's just something that's natural, right? But attitudes change because of um growth hormones, the whole thing when
Yes.
yeah, when we grow older. So that's, is that a reflection of her character? No, because I know my daughter. and she is not that type of person who, you know, when body goes through so many changes. I'm not going to go into detail of all that. What happens in the growing adolescent child, but that's not her character. That's just an attitude of trying to figure out the world, and the outward expression of that moment in time can be very frustrating. And so that's basically what her cup of tea is. When it overflows, that's the attitude that comes out to mommy and daddy at times. Should I hold her accountable for that? I should let her know that it's wrong, but I know that's not who she is as a person. Is it a reflection of who she really is? No, because she's very active, attending worship services all the time. She's about to enroll as a Bible student as she's at that age, and so when she learns the teachings of God very willingly and wants to ask questions and learn more, that's her part of her character. She wants to be knowledgeable and very in depth of learning what the truth is. And so that's who her character is. And although at times where I have trouble waking her up in the morning, that's just her attitude of the morning of not getting enough rest and maybe playing on her phone or playing on her tablet too much. And but that's just teenagers, right? Teenagers' attitude is still being regulated. They're learning to control their
Yeah,
emotions. As for us adults, I think we got a good grasp, Erica. I think as a
I
leader, you face that.
definitely agree because you have a soon to be teenager. We have a teenager here, which you know, I was like, we were definitely different, me and my youngest brother, when it comes to like, having to deal with certain situations and learning how to control emotions. But the thing about, like why do I think attitude can change so quickly depending on situations, right? Because mainly, as you mentioned, it's not the character itself of the person, but also it's how you know how to regulate your emotions. So if you're younger, of course, it's going to be different from another level when you're a bit older, right? And then also it depends on the situation itself, because there's certain times where situations might be like you can take them lightly, right? And then there's others where you feel like, they're very important to you, and so you react differently. But that doesn't mean that, as you mentioned, it was the right thing to do. It's literally just to, I mean, sorry, Henry. It's just, I mean, it's not the right thing to do, right? But at the same time, we're going to remind them about it. But of course, we're going to be understanding regarding it. Yes. So, I guess, like, as an introduction of understanding the difference between character and attitude, we've got that, Henry, right? But I know that there's a team live chat with us.
Yes. So let's look at some of those who have joined our chat. I see that from Paul Jacob Arese, character is the values and principles that a person has or believes is important. Attitude is about a person's outlook on life. So yes, so in terms of the values and principles, I think that's what we were trying to highlight on is uh, we know we have values, we know we have principles, and we know we want that to be as part of our character. But in a given situation, if I have a flat tire, and I'm trying to do an important presentation at work, and it's a very important presentation at work, I'll come out of my car trying to fix my tire, and I may not have the best attitude at that time, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that my character has been compromised at that given point in time. Of course, as a mature adult, I would have to maintain my composure. I would have to try to be, what's the word, cautious and safe, because I'm in the middle of the road. I can't let my attitude get out of hand. I still have to maintain that character. And I think there's a certain type of alignment that when we have a certain type of character, that it should our attitude should reflect that. Hopefully, our attitude should be very um, in alignment, because that's who ultimately we want. If we believe ourselves to be in a certain way, then it takes some time, of course, to be able to harness yourself to always reflect that. Like let's talk about shy people. Chanel, growing up in Hawaii, I was a shy person. Do you think do you see yourself as a shy person back in the day?
I was definitely a shy person. I think when I was a child, between me and my sister, actually, I was a shy one and my sister was a talkative, outgoing one. But as we grew older, the roles have reversed, and now I'm the more extroverted one. So, to an extent, I can relate to growing up as a shy kid in the islands.
So, what do you think if you're shy growing up? Was that your character though? I mean, you would think that your character is different from your shy attitude. So, and that's where I'm trying to get it to the expression of a growing up, a person who is growing up or finding their identity. We know individually our character is a certain way, but our attitude at that point in time might be not so expressive, lacking the ability to put into words what we feel, and therefore sometimes we choose to just be not quiet, but just be softer. Uh, and so I think to further sharpen the definition of the words character and attitude. And just to say it, I did graduate with a degree in English, so I'm very careful with words. That's part of being able to graduate with a degree in English. You have to pass courses with you write a lot of papers and you have to get your words correctly. And so, yes, when you say attitude, and I'm gonna quickly read and focus on Kuya Johan, Brother John's comment. Attitude is more on feelings, reaction on situations, while character is what defines an individual by a collection of core values and moral attributes which define our pattern of behavior. So that's spot on because anyone who has joined military service or joined some type of service or organization wherein each individual is a reflection of the organization, it's very important to understand what the character, culture, and beliefs of that organization is because each individual is a reflection of that organization of and even the individual attitude should be in alignment with the core values of that organization, and that's why it's so important to have uh, individuals who represent organizations very positively, even in the most extreme circumstances. Like you see it sometimes in on TV when you watch the news. This company is going through all this turmoil, and then you have a PR, public relations representative, who goes on there. They're in the most proper posture, speaking the most peaceful manner, and saying, we're undergoing some extreme circumstances, but we'll be okay." What if that person's attitude was not in alignment with the core values of that organization and based on the situation that they're going through? That would not be ideal. That bad attitude will reflect a bad character. So that's why attitude and character need to be in alignment because it's a reflection of the company, it's a reflection of the organization, it's a reflection on core beliefs. So Kuya Johan is spot on that uh, we need to understand our character so that our attitude uh, correctly uh, represents that. Right, Belle?
Yep.
Let's say you
Yeah.
had a bad day at uni. You went to uni and nothing went right for that day. You know who you are as a person, but
So
go ahead, Eric.
Henry, like what you mentioned, because you literally gave. Oh, I have the lamp behind my head. Sorry, notice. um, you literally gave applicable like applications from what we're talking about, and so when it comes to Arable, right? Because she went for a little break, listening to us. So why do you think attitude can change so quickly depending on situations? Because Henry actually gave a deeper definition for attitude and character, giving us like applications as well. That's why he was asking you regarding university, right, Henry?
I feel like when it comes to that, and there's like a lot of hectic situations that go um that go hand in hand, or they just affect one another. So if one is late, the rest is late as well. Yeah, it can be quite challenging. And I think attitude can change so quickly depending on your emotions as well. Like when emotions are involved, yeah, you you tend to um react quite differently depending on your emotions as well. Like having to navigate through the situation itself, which is hectic enough on its own, and on top of that you've got your emotions as well. That really stirs up the pot a bit. And you know, there might be changes that are so abrupt that just caught you off guard, like catch you off guard. So yeah, I think it's those situations that's why like attitude can change so quickly. But at the same time, um, like the pros to it is the fact that since it can change so quickly, um then you can make your right more quickly, like you can make your right more quickly if you do find yourself in a stressful situation. Henry, Janelle, and Erica as well. And I'm not sure if we were able to read some of the answers there with team live chat. Henry, would you like to read them out for us,
Yes,
please?
and we can actually expand on some of these comments because we have a lot of time. So from Brother Jared Rambo, character is how someone may be since childhood, while attitude is how someone feels towards different ideas and opinions. So let's kind of expand on that because what someone goes through there from their childhood and their experiences growing up will definitely shape who their character is, and it's a continuous what's the word if you have attitude repetitiously or repetitively growing up, that can also shape your character. But it's also, that's as a parent, that's where parents come in and say, why is your attitude like that the whole time? So sometimes the parent has to like, hey, smile more or do something about that frown. You can't have that look every time, or don't always talk in that manner. And that's exactly what I'm going through right now, is to basically shape the attitude of my children so that their character will also be shaped with it. Another comment we got from let's see, from Brother Jerry Rambo: attitude can change so quickly depending on how someone may take in a concept or when absorbing in different ideologies. So I want to expand on that because it's funny for college students. Having been a college student myself, you learn so many ideologies, so many ways to approach things, and sometimes you may immediately apply it. And then you have another wise elder who comes along and talks about their experiences. And then it's like, oh, that's another way of doing it that's more empathetic. That's more, you can even say the word Christian. There's a more forgiving. So we learn all these different things from different ways that shape our attitude, but we're also careful that it doesn't shape our character because some of these things can uh, really be momentary in how we view things, and we test out that belief system for a little bit, and you realize, oh no, that's not in line with my character. That's totally something I did not learn. uh for example, in worship services, this does not go in accordance with God's teachings. So then you start to even sharpen your character into something more aligned with the teachings of God that we receive in worship services. And so that's why I think it's very important to understand that your attitude can be like sometimes like a chameleon. You will shape your your attitude. It's not a reflection of who you are always, because as humans we make mistakes. Sometimes our attitude can be momentarily. Sometimes if you don't have enough sleep, your attitude will be very very different. But yes, when you absorb different ideologies, you kind of test out the water a little bit, and you realize, no, that's not in alignment. So I would erase that. Paul Jacob Arese also says a person may have experienced a lot of negative things in their life, which could mean that they have a negative outlook in life. However, we should remember that everything happens for a reason. Yeah. So yes, the when we encounter different things, like we mentioned, it will potentially, you'll question it. You'll wonder if it's something of truth, because to someone else it's true, and to someone else they believe it to be true. So you're wondering, why do they believe it to be true? Um, so that's just the individual's experience in their life. A lot of negative things, like the comment says. Um, but yeah, so that's just an attitude for the moment. It doesn't necessarily have to shape who you are as a person. Um, Especially when you test it and you find it to not be applying to you. We all have our own attitudes that we go through, but a smiling attitude, I think, is kind of what covers a lot of what we go through. That, and I think in our kickoff chat when we talked about, is the glass half full or who stole my water, I think that really reflects a lot, Bell. Right? I mean, that is two ways of looking at things.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, most of the situations that you encounter are also fruit of your reactions, if that makes sense. Like how you face a situation, how you react to it, how you decide to respond to it, also like leads you to the outcome of the situation, whether it's good or bad, or like frustrating or like saddening. Like that's something that is in your control in terms of your perspective. But of course, like there are situations where um our deed or our emotional control doesn't do much either. So in those situations as well, that's where it's really important to, you know, be able to accept that there are things that are out of our control. And when we do feel lost or stuck even, it's best to always seek for our Almighty God, right, Henry, right, Chanel, and Erica as well. You know, there are many situations that could totally be avoided just by not responding, you know. But there are situations where you have to be fully present, right? So I believe that with what's been mentioned, perspective really plays a big role in that. And there are times where, like, yeah, we're allowed to like feel a bit frustrated just because like it's a small thing. But I really love that you mentioned that you shouldn't let that attitude also like define who you are, Henry, like define your character as well. So I believe that when you're aware enough, like you won't let those small things like build up to a bigger thing, right? So yeah, I think that's well said. And I totally like resonate with that as well because um, trying to look at the brighter side of things, sometimes that already solves like 90% of your problem, 90% of your situation. So that really proves that when you're trying to find a solution with a positive mentality, with a positive outlook on the situation, that's already helping you solve the problem itself. So thank you so much for that, Henry, and for everyone who's joined us so far. But of course, uh, it is Faith and Melody after all. So what do we have next, Henry?
So we have a song request that came in for 45 for Heartbeat. So we will have that song playing first, 45, and then followed by Ilagak Natin. So those are our two songs in our next song break. But stay tuned with us as we continue our discussion here on Faith and Melody.
Your requested songs, our favorites, Faith and Melody Heartbeats.
Marami ang sa akin nangunguli. Dahilan ko ay gusto nilang marinig sa simpleng tanong kung bakit wala pa akong kaisang dibdib. Totoo lang ay hindi ko alam talagang sa akin pinakalaan aking susuyuin at mamahalin. Bakit di pa siya dumarating? Hindi naman ako mainipin, hindi naman ako maramdamin. singko na. Pakiusap naman, ako'y nakikiusap. Sigaw ng puso ko'y akin ang mahanap. Umaasang sa akin may nakalaan. Di ko lang alam kung saan at kailan. Hindi naman ako mainipin, hindi naman ako maramdamin. Di lang maiwasan ang mag-alala, pagkat ako'y 45 na. Sana'y paratingin mo na siya, siya na aking makakapareha. Nais ko nang mag-asawa bago ako maging 50. Oh, ayan na pala siya.
Your requested songs, our favorites, Faith and Melody Heartbeats.
Ilagat natin ang ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating. Tayo ay maganda na sa dakilang pamana na napakalapit ng tanggapin. Kunting panahon na lamang ang ating titiisin at hihintayin. Doon ang puso, ang isip at ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating.
Totoong malapit nang tumuhin ng kaligtasan, kaya pagsanayan natin namumuhay sa kabanalan. Layuan at iwasan natin ang lahat ng uri ng kasalanan. Dapat nating supilin ang ating mga isipan
Upang di mahulog sa paggawa ng mali at sa harap ng Diyos ay maging karapat-dapat. Anong sitwasyon ng ating sapitin, huwag limutin na sa ating Diyos ay magpasalamat.
Kung mawala ng pag-asa, manalig at tumingin sa langit. Kung magulo man ang mundo at kailangan natin ng saklolo, sa Ama tayo lumapit.
Ilagat natin ang ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating. Tayo ay maghanda na sa dakilang pamana na napakalapit ng tanggapin. Kunting panahon na lamang ang ating titiisin at hihintayin. Ituon ang puso, ang isip at ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating.
Sa iba't ibang suliranin na nagsisilbing hadlang sa paglalakbay natin, hindi maiiwasan na talagang haharapin ang buhay na mabigat at mahirap kayahin. Ang mga bagay na akala natin ay pinakamalubhana, nagdulot ng lungkot, pagluha, mga pangihina, matinding kapighatian at pagkabalisa ay hindi kailanman siyang pinakamalubha. Yan ang sabi ng Ama, bakit tayo matatakot? Kayang-kaya nating lampasan anumang satay umabot. Magpakatatag palagi, tibayan ng loob sa pangako ng Ama. Ang paningin ay ituon, huminto at tumigil muna saglit, lumuhod. Ang mga mata ay ipikit sa Ama ay manalangin siya. Huwag nating tanungin, ilagat natin ang ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating.
Ilagat natin ang ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating. Tayo ay maghanda na sa dakilang pamana na napakalapit ng tanggapin. Kaunting panahon na lamang ang ating titiisin at hihintayin. Ituon ang puso, ang isip at
sa biyayang Ilagat natin ang ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating. Tayo ay maghanda na sa dakilang pamana na napakalapit ng tanggapin. Kaunting panahon na lamang ang ating titiisin at hihintayin. Ituon ang puso, ang isip at ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating. Ilagat natin ang ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating. Tayo ay maghanda na sa dakilang pamana na napakalapit ng tanggapin. Kaunting panahon na lamang ang ating titiisin at hihintayin. Ituon ang puso, ang isip at ating pag-asa sa biyayang darating.
Tibayan ng loob sa pangako ng Ama. Ang panahon ay itungkol, huminto at umigiho sa lumuhod. Ang mga mata ay itigil sa Ama ay madalangin. Siwag natin tanungin sila na ating nakakapag-asa sa biyayang darating.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
We are presenting the Iglesia ni Cristo Sign Language Guide, Android and iOS version. We gladly introduce the new interface of our INC Sign Language Guide, Android, and the much-awaited iOS version. The INC Sign Language apps is a project of the Christian Society for the Deaf under the Christian Family Organizations Office of the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ. It is a part of the Church's continuous intensive efforts to reach out to and care for the deaf, INC members and non-members alike. This free sign language app includes the following features: 8,000 plus vocabulary entries, all in video, customizable video playback speeds, examples of signed phrases and sentences, categorized everyday signs like alphabet, numbers, colors, greetings, educational terms, medical terms, legal terms, Iglesia ni Cristo and religious terms, and many more. User maintainable favorites category, fast search and voice search, all features are available offline. And since these sign language applications contain phrases concerning the Iglesia ni Cristo and religious terms, we can use these apps in inviting more deaf fellow men to learn the basic doctrines being taught inside the church. For more information, please visit www.iglesianicristo.net, www.facebook.com/Christian Family Organizations, www.facebook.com Christian Society for the Deaf. Thank you for your support.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the next part of our discussion. But before we do that, just wanted to greet some other viewers who came in. Familiar name, Rachel Inocencio. I have to find out who that is. Greetings to all our viewers tonight from the District of Central Europe, locale of Heidelberg. Ian Andres, good, very early morning from our brethren here in the Philippines, requesting for, another song request, requesting for Ikaw ang Inspirasyon, dedicating this to my parents, Camerlin and Cabayet from the locale of Binangonan, Rizal East. I think I said that correctly. Hope so. Jonah Rubik, hello po, guten Abend, happy viewing. And she also said, skip the batitude, embrace the gracitude and forgivitude life. I like that. That's very good play on words of the tudes that we should express. Anyway, to continue our conversation about strengthening character through faith, character is not built overnight. It's developed through choices, challenges, and faith. So here's the next question. We kind of touched upon it, but let's talk about it in a little bit more detail. Do you think a bad attitude is just a bad mood or something deeper? Let's see. A bad attitude. Again, the framing of what we define attitude as was just a point in time of someone's outward expression to the world, to the people they come across. And character is something more of internal, who a person is, shaped through experiences, shaped through morals, shaped through choices, circumstances over time. So again, character is more of a long-standing, longer term, while attitude is very instantaneous, that point in time. So, Chanel, we'll ask you first. Do you think a bad attitude is just a bad mood or something deeper?
Um, I want to say it's both, Henry, actually. For again, we talked about bad attitude being a reaction to certain things. Sometimes the way we react in the moment we can't control, or even we didn't even realize that our attitude can hurt the people around us. And as for a bad attitude being something deeper, I can quite relate that there was a moment in time where I did have a attitude towards my loved ones, and it wasn't out of malice for them. And from my personal experience, I was going through something pretty tough mentally, and um, there was a time where I would be very upset at my parents or even my siblings if they stay out too long or if they go home too late. And to them, it may seem like I had a bad attitude, but in reality, I was acting out of anger. And beneath that layer of anger of them being out so late was fear. And I realized quite early on that the fear was because, I wanted them to stay home and be safe where I can see them, but of course, we can't control people's reactions or people's actions, just only ourselves. And in that time, um, I was just upset that I couldn't, force my family to stay or go home earlier, or just, those trivial things. But at the very core of it, it was love. And as soon as I realized that, like, yeah, I can't control their actions, I can't control my family members, but I can, adjust my attitude and work on myself, then, that really helped me be in a better place mentally in terms of how I interacted with my loved ones, especially when, I wasn't in the right headspace to express myself in a way that all of us could understand. So yeah, so bad attitudes you can change, but that also comes with having the knowledge of understanding where is that coming from, and also knowing that you are having a bad attitude or you are treating people a certain way.
Yes, and it's good that, well, I won't say it's good, but when those moments where uh, parts of your attitude, you see the response or you see the cause, the expression someone else may have, and your attitude, maybe you're still learning to control it, but you see someone else responded negatively to your attitude at that point in time, and then you're like, oh no, that's not what I meant, that's not what I said, and therefore you have an instant moment of regret, and it's not a good feeling, especially when you're learning to control. Uh, it's like these when you watch on shows where someone who's trying to learn to control their power, learn how to drive, or learn how to use this new power tool or something. And they're figuring it out, and it really causes a lot of chaos around them. But then when you get the hang of it, then cool, it's a new skill. So even shaping your attitude, I think, is requires some time. So I'm gonna touch upon the sisters who are here, Erica and Belle, because um, when they go home to each other, there's a different type of attitude that is seen as sisters living in the same household. But of course, when you go outside, it's a different type of attitude. Yet you're more cordial, you're more presentable, you're more well mannered. And then when you get behind closed doors of your home, then there's whatever's left over, and then maybe, why did you have a bad attitude today, sister? Oh, because I had this kind of day. So I'm gonna ask little sister first. uh, to answer the question as well as apply what I just mentioned. Do you think a bad attitude is just a bad mood or something deeper?
I feel like if it's continuous, that's just not a bad mood. Like with what Chanel mentioned, I think most of the time like anger wraps vulnerability, like being someone being vulnerable, because it's in those moments where you feel the most like sensitive, the most like, vulnerable. And when it comes to that, I believe that those strong emotions of ours really code it well. Where you think like, oh, like I'm coping with it. Like that's basically, that looks like um, a way for you to like handle the situation, especially if you feel like you're not at ease. And those strong emotions, since are strong, they are strong emotions, therefore you feel strong, like, you know what I mean. So I feel like, I'm not an expert, but um from my perspective, that is something that I've encountered as well. And it's normal, like, to feel those ugly feelings sometimes, especially after a long day and you're just exhausted, and there's just so much happening. Sometimes, like, yeah, you just cannot help but feel those strong emotions, feel that anger, feel that sadness, feel that frustration. And yeah, sometimes we feel like, oh, it's just having a bad day. But depending on context, sometimes it's not. And it can be something deeper, especially if it's continuous, because uh, how can it be like one bad day if it's like a bad day every day? Like, you know what I mean?
I
So,
agree with you, Arabelle. Okay, I'm gonna continue, Arabelle. Just smiling, and that's like, oh, okay. I just wanted to agree, especially because um, I think like a bad attitude can be linked to bad mood, right? Can be, but as Chanel and Arabelle mentioned, it can also mean something deeper. So it depends on the
okay,
situation.
guys.
So you read literally like the room pretty much. If you notice that, as Arabel mentioned, it's more regular, like you see it more often, right? Then that means that most likely it's not the bad mood of like mood swings, but it's something that maybe there's like a reason behind it and the person hasn't figured that out yet, or they know and then they're trying to like deal with it, if that makes sense. But it also helps, like with bad attitude, it's like communication, because I think it depends on how you handle someone with a bad attitude in that situation. So for example, if how do you say that in I don't know why. I think Henry, it's because I've been hanging out with my sisters too much. Um, I'm gonna say this like it's like a slang word, like rage bait. Like when they tease you, right? So they not really teasing, but they make it kind of worse. So it's like you're not dealing it with it properly because you already know that the person has a bad attitude because she's got a or he's got a bad mood, but you're making it like a more difficult for the person to actually deal with it. So they're reacting to it even more. Or if for example, actually I'm going through like a totally different answer right now, Henry, and Arabelle and Chanel. But you know, when it comes to that, like there's times where when you realize that it's more often, then you're like, what is going on? Like, why are you reacting like this? Or, but also it's how you phrase it. Because if you go, why are you reacting like this? Right? It feels like you're how do you call it, Arabelle? Um, your I can't find the English word.
Condescending.
No, not condescending. It's like your raw. I'm thinking in Italian right now. Henry, help. Please translate.
Say it in Italian, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's what you call it? It's like you are. I'm thinking. Um, you're making it feel like it's the person's fault. Does that make sense? Because you keep saying accusatory. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, it was buffering my English. Okay. but um but there's a way for us, like to deal with certain conversations, right? In a way where we don't make the other person feel like they're in the either wrong or make them feel bad. And so when it comes to linking bad attitude to either bad mood or something deeper, then it's always, I think it's gotta be, first of all, knowing the person. You would know if that person is in a bad mood or there's something going on behind the curtains, and so you would ask, how's their day and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much for me.
Yeah, so I think a bad attitude is very circumstantial, and I'm going off based on the three of your answers. Is that depending on what the circumstances and what the situation is, it always comes back to fight or flight. Fight or flight is something that we've learned of how to respond to situations that make us uncomfortable. Now, flight is just downright run away. Um, Now, fight, there's different types of fighting, right? There's fighting where you're defensive, and primarily it's being defensive to the point of it's your fault, it's you, it's scapegoating, uh, accusatory, exactly what Erica was saying, or it's the bad attitude of uh, which could be destructive, saying that I'm doing something wrong. It's all me, which sometimes can be a good thing to look at yourself first, but not to be destructive as to everything is your own fault, right? And so that bad attitude can also take forms of making everyone around you feel the toxicness of what you feel at that time. It's very circumstantial. This is all my opinion based on my own experiences and those around me. Is that the bad attitude is a spillover to what you're full of at that moment of time. When you're holding a cup of water, why did you spill a cup of water? Oh, someone bumped into me, or I was running too fast. No, you spilled water because that's what your cup was full of. It was full of water. If it was full of tea, you'd spill tea. If it was full of coffee, you'd spill coffee. It all depends on that moment of time of what is overflowing on you in that moment. But as again, depending on our situation, uh, for example, I took 50 calls a day in my IT job of customers who needed help with things that were broken. Some of them yelling, some of them angry, some of them nice, some of them not so nice. And then I come home, and what do I have to do? I have to be smiling daddy. I have to say, "Hello, kids. How are you?" And be as the most comforting husband and father as I can be. Um, are there days I had a bad attitude? Definitely. There are days where it spilled over. It wasn't great and it wasn't good. I'd have to say sorry to my family. Today was a bad day. Now I love my job, so I don't have that problem anymore. Luckily, the job is great. Happiness and accomplishment always comes home with me, so it's a good thing. But there are people who just are in circumstances will have an attitude that is a reflection of what their day went. And as we go through certain things, our character begins to shape, and this becomes our next question. What are some ways your faith helped to shape and strengthen your character? Because we ask this question because we're going to have bad days often. We won't have good days all the time. And if we rely on having good days all the time, then it may be unrealistic because we cannot shape the things around us. The events in this world, the world is what it is. You can only control yourself. And so even bad days, if you are able to shape your perspective, every day can be a good day. But I think faith has something to do with that. So the question we asked everyone, what are some ways your faith helped to shape and strengthen your character? Again, we're going to start with Chanel. Um, how does your faith come into play when it comes to shaping who you are as a character, as a person?
Yes, for sure. I think when I began taking leadership roles as a member of the Church of Christ, I think primarily being a leader and taking care of the children in the children's worship services that we have. Um, of course, naturally, I love children. I love being around people, interacting with a lot of people. But being in a leadership position, you have um, these roles. You have to, kind of carry yourself in a more disciplined way than most people do because you have a lot of people that look up to you. And of course, as a leader, I have bad days, even sad days, but yet I still have to perform. I still have to be up there and guide the children and take care of the officers under my care too. And so the lessons that we have in the worship services, or even the reminders that we're given from our leadership seminars, they basically teach that no matter how angry or upset you may feel, you leave it all with God. And just knowing that God is there to help me when I'm not at 100%. Some days I could be at 50% or 60%, definitely not 100%, but knowing that I could just leave it with God and He will carry me the whole way through so that I can do whatever I need to do is a huge relief because I know that I'm not alone. And the last thing I would want is to have a bad attitude or take it out on people who definitely don't deserve that. And for someone being in a leadership position, it can be lonely. It can be so exhausting, even. And sometimes you just want to be frustrated and upset at people for not, following through the way you expect them to. But we also have to understand that, like, as a leader, you have to have 110 times more grace for the people under your care than you normally would. So, as a member of the Church of Christ, I'm just so grateful that, I had the experience of being in that position of learning to take care of people better because I have also learned how to take care of myself and just know how to better react so that I can have a good attitude no matter where I go. And at the end of the day, it's God that really shapes you into being the best version you can be, as long as your heart and your mind is open to making the changes that come from you. Because I know it's easy to have a bad attitude. It's just more easier to not deal with fixing yourself or being a better person. But that kind of strength you need to change comes from your open heart and mind, and also accepting in God's plans for you.
I like how you denying yourself, you're letting God shape your character, and I think that in doing so, uh, to some ways, I know you said having a bad attitude is easier, but when you choose to let God and God's teachings help shape your character, it does make life much more. I don't want to say easier, but because you're entrusting it to God, and it does take some level of sacrifice in that part to do so, because you still have to put a lot of effort into being God's instrument, into doing the things that are probably, against your desire, because we all have other things that maybe personally we want to do this, we want to do that, but in fulfilling God's teachings, you are shaping yourself to whom He wants you to be. And I think that there's a level of humility and a level of giving yourself to God. I think that is something of great value that we should all definitely learn from. Belle, so how would you answer this question in terms of letting faith help to shape and strengthen your character?
I really agree with what Chanel mentioned, to let go, let God. That really is something that um I resonate as well. And I think that our faith in general as Christians really keeps us grounded to our core values. So that also really strengthens our character, because our values and principles are quite dear to us as Christians. And when you're being guided by faith, not only it allows you to stay grounded, but it allows you to open your heart and mind more. You know how we said about letting go and letting God. It also like teaches you to let go of the unnecessary, like just focus on what you need to focus on. And sometimes, even if it's frustrating, sometimes those little things don't really matter. Like if you think about it, like those 5 minutes of like bad interaction, they won't really matter in like 5 years time, right? So it's all about perspective. And when it comes to faith being considered in the situation, of course, it changed the whole ordeal. It changes the way you see things. It opens your heart more because uh you're able to understand more and be more empathetic as well. Because when it comes to situations as well, like sometimes giving the benefit of the doubt, that's the best solution. Because like why would you jump to the worst conclusion ever, like, or assume as well. Although sometimes we tend to do that because we are human beings after all. But when it comes to faith, it really guides us to where we should be, not only like spiritually, but also like mentally, emotionally, and of course, like physically, when it comes to like being there in worship services and like in activities, right? And INC radio, like right now. So I believe that when it comes to letting God guide you through your faith and His guidance, then everything else will we will be able to figure it out with God. And I see here, Henry, a few comments from our team live chat. Um, Jonna Rubik said that sometimes like attitude could be hormonal, but it should not be excuse to have attitude. And also, she said here, prayer helped me reflect deeper on the underlying reasons for my feelings and attitude with relationships, whether with family or friends or even strangers. And that's true, because when we're able to pray, we really do feel God's presence, and that's how we're able to actually feel relief from our stress and bad attitude as well. And here, it's also been mentioned, if it's every day, maybe check health status. Sometimes when we're deficient or depleted with vitamins or minerals, it shows our bodily reactions and responses. Health is wealth. And yeah, thank you for that insight as well. And Jared said here, bad attitude for me can be something deeper, because for others it might take some time to change their attitudes towards disliking something or uh, disliking something. And um, Johan said here, it depends on how they react in certain situations. Could be a bad mood when all of a sudden they are having a bad attitude, which is unnatural for that certain individual. Or could be deeper if someone is showing bad attitude to certain individual with consistency, and maybe because of previous bad experiences as well. And Mario Calvel said here, sometimes a bad attitude is actually irritable depression, where the person is struggling with deeper despair and sadness, but expresses it as anger or bitterness. And I think we've tackled that before as well. So thank you for that. And in terms of our faith helping us strengthen and shape our character, Rachel Innocencio said here, every day I start my day with a prayer. I also remember the Christian values that I have learned and do a check in if I am following, and self reflection and ways to try to improve yourself. And she also mentioned here, in certain situations where it may be bad, I entrust everything to God and do my best to move forward with a positive attitude. And Jared said here, my faith has helped to shape and strengthen my character, because as INC secretary, I meet different sorts of brethren and I need to understand them both with the help of our Almighty God. And Mario Calvela said here, faith serves as a source of strength during difficult times, enabling individuals to endure suffering and persevere through challenges. And we also have here John R. Rubik saying, I leave everything to God. At the end, pray. At the end, He will take care of the matters in my life. And I'm glad that everyone, has been able to share such insightful and such inspiring um, reminders and experiences as well. So thank you so much, everyone there in our team live chat. But yes, Henry, what's next?
So, before we continue our discussion, we're going to take a quick musical break and listen to two more INC original songs. First song is As Long as I Have You, followed by May You Always Brightly Shine. So, stay tuned with us here at Faith and Melodies. We continue our conversation and see you real soon.
Your words will be my armor and my shield as I struggle to win my own war against the evil deeds. Your love that cannot be surpassed in truth gives me the comfort and warmth as I live this life of sorrow. Your compassion of bringing me back to you. It phases my sins and weaknesses. For my years of confusion, your promise is my inspiration to press onward with courage in fulfilling my duties for you and your people. I can go through every phase of my life, no matter how difficult it would be. I can go through every phase of my life, no matter how difficult it would be, as long as I have you with me. Passion of bringing me back to you. It phases my sins and weaknesses. From my years of confusion, your promise is my inspiration to press onward with courage in fulfilling my duties for you and your people. I can go through every phase of my life, no matter just that you are racing for the prize of eternal life. You are steadfast and enduring, still stay pure as an instrument of righteousness. You are the chosen and the blessed, for you are beloved by God, and you bear the name of Christ. There's a light inside of you, may you always brightly shine. For you are a child of God, and you bear the name of Christ. There is a light inside of you, may you always brightly shine. Brightly shine. So stay loving and obedient, and stay selfless and courageous, and stay strong. You are cared for, you are guided, you are enlightened, uplifted, stay inspired. You are the chosen and the blessed, for you are beloved by God, and you bear the name of Christ. There's a light inside of you, may you always brightly shine. For you are a child of God, and you bear the name of Christ. There is a light inside of you, may you always brightly shine. Brightly
So we are coming in the last round of our discussion today as we start to put on the spiritual aspect into shaping our character, because every day gives us opportunities to choose our attitude, especially when things don't go our way. So, next question that we're going to ask is, how do you maintain a positive attitude when facing life's challenges? Because life's challenges on an everyday basis is not in our control. It's usually an uphill battle. Sometimes even getting out of bed can be a little bit of a challenge. And then when you get out of bed, when you whether you drive to work or you drive to school or you take public transportation, there's a little bit of opposition or resistance and things that are not within our control, things not to our liking, bad weather, you step on a puddle, or someone accidentally bumps into your shoulder a little too hard. Things will not go our way. So this is where we have to choose. There is a level of control that we have. So Chanel, we'll ask you first, how do you maintain a positive attitude when facing life's challenges?
Hmm, that is a good question. Sometimes I even ask myself that till this day. Um, but um, how I fix my attitude, or just kind of um, have a more positive outlook in the situation. one, preparation. I try to prepare for every possible situation that could happen, so that if something does go wrong, I'm prepared for it. But also, if it if something doesn't go wrong and I'm not prepared for it, again, I just leave it with God. And I really had the same exact mindset when it came to my wedding, planning my wedding, because especially on the wedding day, things will go wrong, can and will go wrong. And, you know, I I already kind of prepared for it after attending the weddings of my friends and families that I've been to, and seeing how they were like on their wedding day. And um, you can prepare for as much as you want, but life will happen. And so when I adopted that mindset that like just let go and let God on my wedding day, it was a hundred times more better. Like I really felt no stress. Like, oh, I'm running, like my hair and makeup's running a bit late. That's okay. Things will keep happening. The wedding will happen, and it doesn't have to be like a wedding situation, but um as long as you have, you leave room for God in your life, you already have that trust in knowing that whatever will happen is meant to happen. And even if it's something that you weren't expecting, something you didn't want, maybe it's a lesson from God. Maybe it's something that you need to grow from. And just having that, positive mindset, already knowing that this is something I can benefit from, that already makes me excited to see what other plans God has for me in the future.
I like that because when my wedding day, there were things that did not go right. And then you have your wedding planner quietly approach you and try to find a nice way to say, by the way, Henry, this and this happened, this and this happened. Well, whether it's my wedding or my brother's wedding, I think it was my brother's wedding where the driver had lost something, like his license plate fell off or something, so he had to go get it. And um, we were taking pictures by the beach area, Kaka'ako Beach Park there in Hawaii. And the bus driver kind of comes up to me as the best man, saying, "Hey, my license plate fell off. I have to go find it." And we're we have to get on the bus to go back to the hotel, the reception, and everything. And then I didn't let my brother know that. But I took care of it myself as the best man, trying to do my responsibility. But it's just funny that even on the days that we look forward to the most as a single person who is in the middle of their wedding ceremonies, activities, things do go wrong. And we can choose to be like, oh man, for the rest of the night. Oh, you can have that negativity. Or you can try to make the most of the situation where you can tell a story in a future INC radio broadcast and say, this is what happened. you know, another positive spin to things that we can choose to do. Um, Erica, if you're able to provide an answer, how do you maintain a positive attitude when facing life's challenges? Because you're a very busy person. I know you have a lot on your plate, and sometimes you have to put a smiley face on your face to address your life's challenges and achieve your goals. So, how do you maintain a positive attitude?
I'm gonna give you one of the examples I remember back then. For you to give like pretty much like an application on how I say we because it's like me and my family actually, because we grew up with parents that taught us Christian values, and also watching them growing up watching them perform their duties and all. And so in times of grief, when dad passed away, I think like one of the comments of one of our friends, and she mentioned, because the first thing that I said was, oh, we're going to the Philippines because like how dad passed away in the Philippines, and we're going there for the viewing and the funeral. But can we ask permission, like like request if we can perform our duties for media, right? And so we filmed certain contents, and we actually they were actually featured and stuff. And at the Love and Goes, it's so inspiring to see that despite your difficult situation, you think about performing your duties first. So it's literally like what Chanel mentioned. As long as you have and you put God first, um, it gives you that shift where you're like, and also what you mentioned, Henry, we don't have bad days actually because it's about our thinking. So it's like a way of saying we actually never fail. We get to learn, right? From what wasn't meant for us. And so it's the same for this. If we're put in a tough spot, it's not like we can't do it because we have firm faith that we're not alone and God is with us. And so maintaining that positive attitude where you're like already on your knees, right? Excuse me. Um, and you're just praying. You're like, it's okay because all the challenges we have in life, God wouldn't give them to us if we can't handle them by putting our trust into Him or onto Him. So that's how I maintain that positive attitude along with my family.
I like that because the, regardless of the circumstances that come into our life, we always have two choices, right? It's choosing whatever we feel, and that could be a number of feelings, or to just in some way still choose God. And even despite the circumstance of that situation, even if you have to travel to a different place, you're still choosing God. And so that's a great example. I think we can all learn from that. The greatest attitude and most positive attitude that we can have is the choice that we make to still choose God, choose our duties, choose to fulfill what we have promised to do, regardless of what we're going through. So, and Belle, I think you have a very similar answer. How do you maintain a positive attitude when facing life's challenges?
I think that remembering why you started or trying to picture the bigger, yeah, trying to imagine the bigger picture helps you to get through those moments, like those rough moments. And what Erica mentioned about, to remember that God doesn't give you something that you cannot handle, that already, makes you feel like, oh, yeah, I can take on anything because God is always with me. And when it comes to facing life's challenges, it's not going to be all sunshines and rainbows because they are challenges at the end of the day. And, you know, it's something that it's easier said than done, of course. But, right, like as Christians, we've been taught that we should always rejoice during our trials, during our sufferings. And that doesn't mean like crying and laughing, like, you know what I mean? But, trying to find that resolution, um, and positivity when it comes to those tedious and those really tough moments in life. And God will always give you the guidance that you need through the people that He puts into your life, through the duties that you have, through your status in life as well. Like where you are right now is where you're meant to be, is where God wants you to be right now, even though it might not be where we want to be in life as of now. But at least we know that God put us here for a reason. And yes, I think that really reassures me when I face life challenges, Henry. And I see here that Jared Rombo shared with us when facing life challenges, I do maintain a positive attitude by listening to Faith and Melody and being inspired positively by insights po from the host and Ohana po. And also Mario Calvillo agreed with that by saying yes, Faith and Melody. So thank you so much to our Ohana there in Team Live Chat for always supporting us.
Yeah, so I think there is really, if you think about it, and it does take some learning sometimes when you're faced with the choices of how to respond to situations. Being at my age now, when you choose to have a positive attitude intentionally, again, I say the word intention, that is my word of the year, to intentionally choose something. Uh, when you intentionally choose a positive attitude, it really just makes to some extent makes life simpler because you know the output of that or the result of that will have God on your side because, as you mentioned, Bell, God doesn't put you through something that you can't handle. And there really is no better choice that even in our suffering, yes, we're taught to rejoice in our suffering because it gives God an opportunity for Him to rescue us in those situations. That's where we have to rely on Him. And so it's a similar situation as to what Erica mentioned about, when when my father passed away, it also gave me the opportunity to understand that there's a lot of growth for me at this point in time. There is I don't have my dad to rely on anymore, and it's just me. And and really, I gotta reshape that. Even it's not just me. God is still there, regardless of what happens to my life. I still have God, and I can still pray to Him even more to help remind me everything that my father taught me before he had passed. There was just so many lessons that he had not passed on to me that I had to figure out on my own. And I think even in those situations where what was not passed out and I figure out for myself, there's a lesson in that too. And I'm still choosing God with all that because there is also uh it's teaching me something my father always taught me. My dad always taught me you really just have to figure it out on your own. Like no one taught my dad how to do all the things that he knew how to do. And so there were times where I'd ask my dad to teach me things and he would teach me what he could, but there was just too many lessons that life had to teach me myself. And so that I would also then start to form a new habit of my own. And that habit is basically make time for yourself to learn new things. Because in learning new things, you become more resourceful and helpful to others as well, especially to your family. So, our last question we're going to ask for this broadcast: what habits help you consistently improve your character and your attitude? Again, habits is a series of repeatable behaviors. Excuse me. That when you start to do it repeatedly, it becomes part of who you are. It shapes your character. And therefore, when your character becomes more solidified and you are in more uh, practicing of your character, that can also become your constant attitude. So, Erica, I'll ask you again, what habits help you consistently improve your character and attitude?
Okay, you of all people witnessed that yesterday. So I think one of the things that helped me improve, it's not like, as Christians we don't hold grudges, right? But I'm the type of person that shakes it off. I'm very verbal. So I just say it once and then I put it behind my back. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just like, okay, that's it. At least I told you that's it. So I'm pretty much like that. I think it's not like I'm still dealing with how to improve, how to deal with like the intense emotion, but the way I see it is I'm improving like my character and attitude in a way where, okay, so that happens. Oh, got upset. But then I'm not gonna hold it like for the longest time, if that makes sense, right? Because after I told you, I'll be like, okay, let's move on. Because it's not ways it's happened. So I think like that what helps me because um I think that helps also because, for example, with my siblings, like we're five, right? So we bicker a lot. And so like it's so funny because we end up like sometimes like looking at each other and like quote unquote we're upset, right? But then we start laughing at each other because we're just like, what now? It's like it's like that. The way I see it is, if you like keep it light where you just like shake it off, you're good to go. But of course, I'm not saying like in all the situations, right? Deal with different situations um differently, right? But I'm saying like the light ones where sometimes like you rage bait each other as siblings or friends, right? Or when you just like tease one another and then someone like gets a bit upset, but then when you look at each other, you're like, okay, we're cool, kind of that. But then I think it's the positive attitude where you just like laugh it off, shake it off. It's something where I think a lot of us have that or not a lot of us. I think it's something that I've read somewhere where it goes, it's very common for people to just like hold on um to the to the negative emotion instead of um thinking about what's positive, or like looking at the silver lining of everything that's happening. And that's why it's about the perspective too. So the habit of, okay, this happened, I'm sad about it, but what can I do about it, right? So, oh, my hair is so curly that, sorry, I'm getting distracted by it. But um yeah, it's pretty much that for me, because I saw like a visual post. I think even Chanel saw it, and Arabelle, where you can see like this person, like two people, right? They have the same road, and it goes, they're watching the different, like they're on a bus and they have two different views, right? One has like the cliff where it's just like rocks, and the other one has like the nice view, right? And then it goes like you're on the same bus, so you can react either way, where it's either you sulk and you be sad about it, oh, I can't see anything, or you go to the other side, other side of the bus, and you can see the nice view. I think it's like that. Like one of the habits that helped me is, okay, I can be sad about it. Like I'm not saying that if something happens that upsets me, I'm just gonna be like, fake it and be like, you know how they say fake it till you make it. No, I acknowledge what I feel, but at the same time, it's like, am I gonna hold it like for the longest time? No, because things change, things can get better, and also there are certain things that you can't control, but you can control what you feel.
Yeah, I think being that intentionally to find the silver lining all the time, uh, it's hard for the first time you do it, but then it's a repeated behavior. If you continue to do it and you turn it into a habit, then that becomes who you are as a person. That becomes your character. What comments do you have, Chanel, on that? When you build habits to improve your character and your attitude, what habits do you have that help you?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I leave no room for misunderstanding. And I hold that for myself and for my friends or the people around me. And the way I act on it for the people around me specifically, especially, as members of the Church of Christ, this time has been a sensitive time because we are all in our season of bettering ourselves as Christians. So a lot of times when there's, misunderstandings or troubles within friend groups or the people we interact with, um, I like to just confront it and nip it in the bud, because for me, I refuse to be a bystander when I know that I can be the change for good, for making things better in that type of situation. And as for understanding, like leaving no room for misunderstandings for myself, I I am doing my best to be more intentional when I meditate, before I pray, even just making sure that I am in the right headspace when I talk to God, and that when I do talk to God, I truly leave everything with Him. And I know that I can talk and I can yap for so long with anybody and everyone, but most especially for God, because if I can always say my worries, but if I tell God and ask Him for help in understanding what is the root of all my frustrations, my sadness, then I know that I'll have an answer immediately. So, really, in understanding myself with the help of God, I give myself more grace for how I react to certain situations, for how I handle certain things, because I know that I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and being married doesn't change that. I'm still a human being. So, yeah, that is one of the habits that I am actively implementing in my life today.
And I love what you mentioned, that you still look forward to learning, Chanel, because when it comes to, going through different phases in your life, it just, you feel like Oh, that's it. You know what I mean? It's not, you know how they say, oh, like getting married, like that's the fairy tale, like that's the end, like end of the fairy tale. But no, that's just the start, right? The start of something new, the start of a new chapter in your life that you're still going to like get through. So I love that you mentioned that, at the end of the day, you can always learn and there's always room for improvement. And I think that one thing that I can add to that is like, being able to smile more and like laugh more. I think that really, really gets you started with like a happy day, even on those tough days. And it really alleviates like the tension, especially when you're having a rough time and like an overwhelming time. So, yeah, smiling more and laughing more. And yeah, thank God I have got like my siblings and like my mom as well and my friends. So, yes, it's quite something that um doesn't come only from you, but also by the environment that you try to create around you. So the people as well, that really helps as well in building um, and improving one's character and attitude. But with that said, I'm glad that we were able to define what character and attitude uh, means to us. And, at the end of the day, faith really, really helps us get through those rough times. And, we are called by God to live with integrity, humility, and self control. And when we allow our faith to shape our character and guide our attitude, we reflect God's love in the way we live and interact with others, right? So let's always keep in mind that true growth comes from choosing what is right, even when it's difficult. And with that said, we will now go on to our verse of the week, which is treat everyone with kindness.
You know, it's unfortunate that a person with a disability or special health needs may get looked down on or face discrimination. Some might even believe that those with normal abilities are superior to others. Is it okay to be influenced by this kind of belief? Does this give a person the right to speak badly against people with disabilities? Hi, I'm Brother Charlton Eric Flores, and that's what I'll share with you today on this verse of the week, here in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 14. Do not say bad things against a man who cannot hear. Do not put something in the way of a man who cannot see, but fear your God. I am the Lord. In God's sight, all of us, whether or not we have a disability, are important and precious to Him. Instead of saying bad things about others, especially those with special needs or disabilities, we should be kind to everyone. We should care for and love them, because that is what God wants us to do. This is why the Christian Society for the Deaf, or CSD, was established in the Church of Christ, to care for the Church of Christ members who are deaf or hard of hearing. It's also important that they learn the true words of God so that they can receive God's guidance. Dear friends, we invite you to study God's words with us. Join us in our Bible studies and worship services in the Church of Christ. And if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, please share this short video with them. Stay safe, stay strong, stay faithful. God bless.
Thank you to Brother Charlton for that inspiring message for us to take um, with our week for our week ahead. Sorry, but yes, since we are now heading towards the end of our show, we want to thank everyone who was able to join us today. So, Chanel, thank you so much for being here today. And do you have any greetings or shout outs?
Yes, shout out to my friends and family, all in the local of Frankfurt and Frankfurt City, and in Wiesbaden as well. And also to our friends and family here on Faith and Melody, Belle, Henry, and Erica. It has truly been a pleasure. And also, I want to shout out Kuya Jay. We miss you, po, and we love you, Kuya. Come back soon. And yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Chanel. But yes, I would also like to greet everyone. Thank you so much. Our hosts here today, Erica and Henry, and it's always fun, and of course Jay as well, who prepared today's rundown. So thank you for that, and also shout out to our Kuya Tex and our Olhana, who's always there for us. Thank you so much. But what about you, Erica? Do you have any shout outs?
Just shout out to my sisters, you included because you're the other sister. Also to Aurora Dell, as well as my brother is upstairs and mom who's been tuning into INC Radio, and of course to everyone tuning into INC Radio. So everyone is included in my greeting. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and good night.
Thank you. What about you, Henry?
All right, as we close off this show, shout out to my wife and children who are just downstairs on the other side of this wall, always tuning into every program that I'm on. Thank you for your endless support. And my wife is telling me to drink water because I am under the weather a little bit. So I will drink more water after this. Shout out to my Central Europe families always tuning in, to Alicia, to Kuya Johan, to Mario Calvello, and all those from Central Europe. Thank you. You'll be seeing more of them on Faith and Melody for sure. I have a plan. Right, Chanel? We have a plan for Central Europe and Mondays for the days to come. Shout out to all those who are always participating in our conversations. This is where we start to get to know each other and get to share our experiences for the betterment or edification of each other. It's always fun to be here on Faith and Melody as we always share experiences. But once again, thank you to everyone for joining us here. I am Henry here in Germany.
And I'm Belle here in the United Kingdom. And
Okay.
and we have been your host for today. So we hope that today's episode has given you a positive start to your week ahead. And in tomorrow's episode, come join Jay to explore the world of performing arts and how creativity can become a meaningful way to express faith and reflect the gifts that God has given each of us. And to close off today's show, we will be listening to Streets of Gold. Join us again for the rest of the week on the next episode of Faith and Melody. Take care, everyone, and see you next time.
Aloha.
Ciao. Tschüss.
When the world brings me to my knees, there's a place that I long to be. But I know that I am safe and sound, my Lord God, as long as you're with me. From the cold, from the storm, there were chills, but now I'm warm. Thank you, my Lord God, that you're in my life. I cling to your words, my guiding light. With you I don't worry, I know I'll be whole. Streets of gold, streets of gold. I know I'll be whole. Streets of gold, streets of gold. I'll serve you with all my heart and soul. If you leave me, I'll be without hope. Please draw me to this heart of mine, and may your grace and love upon me shine. If I fall, help me, Lord, through it all. Thank you, my Lord God, and you're in my life. I'll cling to your words, my guiding light. With you I don't worry, I know I'll be whole. Streets of gold, streets of gold.